What's up, Dave, with all these different brushes? I'm confused on which ones to buy and use to paint my new Andrea Teddy Roosevelt kit.
Good question, Jillian. Michigan Toy Soldier carries lots of different brushes for lots of different applications. Okay, first of all, these are not paintbrushes. This, though a paintbrush, can't be used for modeling. The brushes that we handle here are specifically designed for the hobbyist. I keep all of mine in a nice big cup, and you do want to keep them point up because the most important thing about a good quality brush is maintaining the point. Now there's two basic types of brushes that we handle here. There are Kolinsky Sable and nylon brushes. Let me explain the differences. Kolinsky Sable really is generally the finest quality and hence the most expensive. The number one factor is that they hold their shape and point much longer and are a better value in the long run. It's the only brushes typically that I would use. Nylon brushes, though, on the other hand, are really inexpensive. They're very good for beginners or painters that are extremely rough on their brushes. A good choice for craft projects or painting that really doesn't require any fine detail whatsoever. Now the brushes are available in a number of sizes and shapes. There's typically round brushes, flat brushes, and dry brushes, just to name the most common shapes. The smaller the brush does not necessarily mean the finer the point. The most important thing is to get a great point on your brush. One of the brands that we carry is Da Vinci. Now I've talked about these in some of my earlier videos. I really like these brushes. They're made in Germany, and you know the Germans make good stuff. They come in a number of different price ranges. The Series 10 at the top of the line, Series 36 in the middle. Those are both round brushes. I love the Series 36 for the value and their durability. They really do hold a good point. Give Da Vinci a try. The Winsor Newton brushes, Series 7, are really the Cadillac of brushes for figure painters. Their 000 is probably the finest brush for small detail painting that I know of. Everyone should own one. If you notice with this particular brush, I have it wrapped with tape. Anytime you're using a brush the quality of a Da Vinci or a Winsor Newton and you're using it for metallics, wrap it because you want to keep the metallics separate from your other brushes. Now, dry brushes. The brand Micromark makes some really excellent quality dry brushes. Very inexpensive and they last a very long time. Highly recommended. MIG Productions, who through their pigments, oil paints, kits, what have you, make a very nice line of nylon brushes which are fantastic for washes, weathering, generally beating up a model. Check these out. The Atlas line of brushes are very good, very inexpensive, super for the beginner and for someone doing more generalized hobbies or crafts. Now the only downside to some of the inexpensive nylon brushes is they just don't last as long. Really get you going with painting without shelling out a whole lot of dough. Now for figure painting or real detail work, here's the brushes that I recommend. Winsor Newton Series 7, 30, absolute mandatory for a figure painter. The Da Vinci Series 36, I'd recommend getting a 20, a 0, a number 1, and a number 2. Da Vinci Series number 1311, use the number 4. The Micromark dry brush, use number 4 and number 8. Now that you've invested in some really good quality brushes, just a couple other things that you should know about. Brush cleaners. They make brush cleaners for people who paint in oils or enamels, acrylics, and there's also brush restorers. This particular one by Winsor Newton is my personal favorite. It really does a good job if you happen to let that brush sit a little bit too long before cleaning it. And they also make a master survival kit, which will give you hand soap, brush cleaner, and brush restorer. The other thing that you're going to need is some type of paint palette. Now you can use a paper palette, which I do quite often, but for mixing a little larger amounts of paint, I'd recommend some of these artwork palettes. They're really inexpensive. Buy a half dozen. Now coming up in the near future, we're going to spend a video with the wet palette. This is how you keep those acrylic paints wet on the palette. This is Dave, Michigan Toy Soldier on YouTube. We'll see you soon.